Hello and good evening, and welcome to our little OpenQuest Next presentation, and followed by a Q&A if we have time, because my family is usually, as usual, said, "Are you finishing at 9? Yes. Even though do you really finishing at 9? And so yes. So thank you very much for turning up, and type your questions if you have any questions about what you hear tonight, and about OpenQuest in general and what we're planning to do. Just a quick recap of what OpenQuest Next is covering. It's the last and final stretch goal of the OpenQuest Kickstarter, where I said to all the high tier backers, they're the OpenQuest patrons and the Masters of Duck, Masters of Dungeons. I think Master of Ducks, Matthew Hayes, is in the house tonight. And I said to that lot, I'll do a presentation and of 4 or 5 things, and then you can pick the next project that we work on. And this is literally the next thing I work on once all the other stretch goals are out of the way. Saga, the Swords of the Savage North, as it's called now, The Feathers and the Furies, which is the the Duck book. Paul's Cockbook Palace. And I know you're also getting first draft of Paul's Four Emperors game. So all OpenQuest is what happens after those things. And it might, depending on how quick Paul is with Four Emperors, it might get up for Four Emperors. But what it isn't is any of the sort of big Blue Horizon games that me and Paul have after Four Emperors, which I'm not even going to discuss. They exist. They are things, aren't they, Paul?
Yeah, they're things. They're things we've discussed and got excited about, but they're not for the public yet.
Yeah, because they're just not even not.
It'd be nuts. We'd be overpromising.
Yeah. So these are all the 5. I think it's 5 projects I'm going to show you. They're all things I've got started work on and then got step back, because I do fun things at the weekend. So some of them be done as fun things at the weekend, just quick sort of hammer out a few bits, outlines, write a bit of rules, whatever. And then I've just stepped away when the working week started. All the things that kind of like have a large chunk of them already written for various reasons. And as a special treat as well, I do have something that is pretty much done now, that is a big reveal tonight, but I'll leave that to the end. So shall we get on to the first thing that we've got for OpenQuest Next? Okay, the first things, I'll just go to my little folder. This I can show a picture of. And then, no. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We'll do a slightly huge, not too big one yet. So I'm just going to share my screen just so you can see it. So the first thing on OpenQuest board is, hang on, I've just released this. It's
yes, I've got the physical. It's lovely.
Right. Explain here what's got Catching the Worm, which was our early bird adventure for, if you backed in the first two days of the Kickstarter, you got a copy of this eventually. It wasn't as early as I anticipated, because when I started writing the adventure, I made the foolish decision to set it in a ruined city. So I thought, yes, I can put a 20, perhaps 40 at the most, page adventure that covers an entire ruined city. No, I got a bit involved. The actual full version, which I stopped writing, is 50 pages long. It involves the adventure settlement that's next to this big ancient ruined city, and one of 8 districts. So I thought, this thing is going huge. I run it as an adventure, and I basically, what you've got in Catching the Worm is an actual play that's written up as an adventure. It's quite linear, but it only has two of the locations in the final, in the detailed, but not fully detailed, just enough to get you going. There are dozens of NPCs in the 2 locations, and I've only kind of detailed about two or three of the major NPCs. So there's a lot of material. So this one, Catching the Worms, has the code name. I'm calling it the Shambles, from the British slang term for it's a bit of a shambles, bit of a ruin. I might also call it big ruin city. So this is going to be a sandbox adventure setting where your PCs go along. They can explore the city. There's lots of little quests very quickly in bullet points. There's lots of interesting NPCs. There's a big overriding plot of things that are happening, but how your players interact with that is up to them. And it's, in many ways, it's my take on the sort of like the big ruined cities, like big rubble and pavers. But it's also sort of based upon real life, real historical ruined cities. We found this out, didn't we? That London, after the Romans, for instance, that's for the Anglo-Saxons for years thought that the Roman London was haunted by demons and ghosts. So they built a city a bit upstream from the Roman city, and because it was good, the Thames was a great place to trade along, and stayed out of it until it was King Alfred the Great, wasn't it?
It was relatively late that the Saxons moved in. I mean, there's that pattern here with a lot of the sort of old Roman cities and the Saxons. Or others where they're half empty and there's just sort of maybe a few people in a city that had sort of,
the one that really blew my mind when I found out about it was Carthage, because I believe this sort of what you read.
It was sorted and destroyed, but
yeah,
that's not quite true. Yeah.
No. It was razed to the ground, but about a generation later in North Africa, the North African governor, with Rome's approval, set up a town, and they thought it was ruined and haunted, but that's what happened. So it wasn't just thing. So that's one. So basically, big ruined city, big sandbox, and I'm going to the next one. Just find out this one. I've got covers for a few of them. I think this is the last one. Now this one is a biggie, but one that I've already got chunks of it already written for reasons I'll explain. So here we go. Second one. Here we go. OpenQuest Quantum. Right. So this one is OpenQuest's other genres. So the idea being that you would have rules for horror, use rules for sci-fi, modern day guns, futuristic guns, vehicle rules. Magic would get sort of reduced if you want comprehensive magic rules. Well, you've got OpenQuest itself, but it would have a small, flavoursome subset, probably based on the one magic system that's an OpenQuest companion. And then you'd have ready-made concepts from all over history. The idea being, it's the idea of the quantum universe, that we're all connected all moments in time, living in a probability field. And there are, at the end of time, sitting at the end of the time, there is a city. It's a bit like Moorcock's Dances at the End of Time, from which agents go to sort out various time streams that have gone wrong, which they know as battlefields. And why they send the agents in, they isolate these areas of time and space in a time bubble using mind-bending quantum technology, and they send the agents in. And your players are the agents, and they have to work out what's wrong, what's causing the malfunction in the time stream, and fix it. It's all a big hokey excuse, of course, to do a big time traveling perhaps be a bit looser on the details. You know, I've run this setting before where I ran it communist style in period Russia, where they had giant mecha robots fighting the Chinese. So, and it came about because at Christmas I ran a very short mashup adventure of the Krampus legends, the Austrian Alps demons and Santa versus Santa, of course, mixed in with the thing. So I had, and I thought, wouldn't it be nice if I had a book I could look at which has the guns from the company or the sci-fi guns from River of Heaven, and all in one place. And obviously, again, there's parallels with Chaosium's big gold book, but I also wanted to put a setting and some adventures, and rather than just be sort of generic where on this one. So I don't know, Paul, what do you think of that one?
I think it's cool, obviously, but no, I mean, it's the idea you've got, again, lots of different, I suppose, a meta setting and lots of smaller settings, but also this cross compatibility between different things. You know, you have guns and magic and other technology coming in all together, but having it all nicely enmeshed in a big compatible rule set lets you do interesting things.
Yeah, it's just this one of sort of people for years have asked me, do you do OpenQuest for other settings? And it is like, yeah, here's the big book. And also I want to run lots of crazy sort of one shots at conventions and stuff, or just online.
And doing it over the top alt history thing is, yeah, that's the way to go with it, isn't it?
Yeah. So,
and who doesn't want a crazy sort of alt history with Russian mecha and whatever?
If you don't, you're a bit soulless. Right.
Yeah, you're soulless. That's what you are. I agree.
Okay, so this is where I went out of pictures for a while. So, because again, some of these things are, if you're a long-time D101 fan, the setting, a lot of the setting for, and the reason why it's kind of like being considered, a lot of the setting information comes from a setting I wrote for a game called Wordplay, the Big Five.
Yes.
The world's wordplay called Infinite War, and so I've got a lot of the sort of the setting stuff already written. I'll expand it, revise it, and polish up something I wrote 10 years ago, but you know, that's where we are with that one. Okay, option 3. Let's think. Just might have to refer to my notes now. It's been a long day, folks, so just bear with me.
So just to be clear, OpenQuest Quantum was one of the options of the next phase.
Yeah. So, yeah. Right. Option 3. Quite easily is the Dark Corners of the Empire, which is the Catan source book, an adventures book. You've got the Empire of Catan in the main OpenQuest book. I've been running for, it's getting on to 2 years now. A continuous campaign, I wouldn't say most weeks, but it's bi-weekly, set in the Empire of Catan. And when we first played it, I organized it like television series. So season 1, which was 40-odd session, was in the borderlands of the Empire. So this would probably be a write-up of that campaign. So it's at the far eastern border of the Empire. It follows straight on from the adventure in the rulebook, and it is a place to take your beginning players. So, Paul, you've been in it from the beginning.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, season 1 and 2. Yes. So
yeah.
Yes. So I won't do let me tell you about my character. But what we are is in a situation where, you know, it's an area where it's sort of Imperial rule's not strong, although we're Imperial aspirants trying to join the Imperial way and the official cults, going through the stages of that. Imperial rule's not particularly strong, and So there's things at this borderland involving the Darklands, or the Darklanders, which are what the Imperials call people not in the Empire of Catan. And they're all evil boogeymen, except of course it's not that simple. Yeah, they're just people living the other side, the wrong side, we'd say, of the border.
And a very different lifestyle, which the
Yeah,
Empire.
absolutely different lifestyles. And yeah, there are sort of boogeyman monsters and things like involved, you know, in vampires and things like that. But it's interesting. It's interesting, I suppose, culturally, what's going on.
Yeah.
It's interesting in terms of adventures, where you've got this sort of grey area.
Yeah, I did like that. I'm a big fan of the twist in adventures.
Yeah,
where
and in a sense, I mean, it's an interesting way we were playing it, because I think it was a morally grey sort of set of adventures where we weren't playing it as if they were morally grey.
No, the players, bless their little cotton socks, who are middle-aged men. From, I think, youngest is probably Ginger Matt, who's, well, he's in his late 40s now. So late 40s up to Nigel's about late 60s. I don't know, or 60, in the 60s.
Yeah,
and Nigel's the
60s. Basically.
He was the worst for it, though. They're all
Nigel was positively psychopathic.
Yeah. But we were all up characters, and they instantly said, "What's the age range?" And I said, "Well, if I look at the rules, it's between, you know, sort of between 19 and 25 if you roll the dice." And they went, "Oh, they rubbed their hands." It's just gave these middle-aged men sort of the excuse to behave like idiots, not like you are in your 20s, where you don't know about the world. You're still finding your way out in the world and what's right and wrong.
Yeah.
And that kind of fitted very nicely in the sort of like trying to find out whether the Imperial way, whether the Empire is right for you, or whether you want to quietly go and live in the Darklands in a much nicer environment or whatever. So there's all that. So it really is the idea that OpenQuest doing the Borderlands. This is a game, the one you'll get to see sort of the Empire of Catan setting explained in a bit more light. You'll have full, well, I won't say full religion write-up. You'll have expanded religion write-ups, and you'll have everything you need to again to run your own adventures in the Borderlands, and the write-ups of the adventures that I ran are all not on their characters, and there's a lot of stuff there. So that's what Dark Corners of the Empire is.
I mean, I'll tell you about my character. My character was basically Slain from 2000 AD. That's my character, really. So it was good. There's a setting where you could play that.
Yeah. Well, again, this is going to be something, because I'm a bit of a, for years I've played Galantha, quite obviously. I'm never going to go into that sort of level of detail. It is sort of like, it ceases to be a game, in my opinion. And so the players could play anything they want to. So within that, we've got Ginger Matt's character, who's basically a reformed librarian. He was a librarian, wanted to study magic, wanted a bit of a holiday, and now he's something quite different. It's been a while since I've checked in on what he's not the swords. He's not the sword fighter that the rest of the party have done.
No, he's a wise.
Yeah, but he's not quite there yet. So it's interesting stuff, and I'm sure we need to have an episode about what we've been up to on Thursday nights. I think there's some interesting stuff there. So moving on swiftly, and the next one on my quick sheet is the open, a bit more vanilla in expectation, is the OpenQuest Creatures book. OpenQuest, I was quite shocked to find there, because I thought OpenQuest had tons of monsters in there, has only got 40 monsters in there. As a long-time D100 fan, I'm quite happy with that, because I make up stuff and I make up the whole thing. I'm used to just working with the limited amount of monsters that I've got in a book, because other books don't, the percentile games don't have many. That's how you get everything in one book. And what doing the whole system to me is geared up to do variations. You roll up the character, you use a monster template, you roll it up, and away you go. You create your own sort of creatures and monsters as people. But I am aware that in the modern age of monster manuals coming along, there is a desire and a need to have a nice monsters book. And I've gone away, and with that in mind, I have about 100, 140, 160 monsters outlined, illustrations for all of them, because I've been working with Jazz Shields, who did all the lovely illustrations for the companion, and he's does a lot of the monsters in the main rulebook. From a large stock of art that I've got from him, I have a good sort of 140, and I know me, it'll probably raise to about 200. So this is, we're talking quite a chunky, as big as the main rulebook possibly, book. But you'll have lots of new monsters to play with, lots of monsters that you can use as player character races. I'm not going to tie them into my own setting, so I'm intentionally writing them a bit generic. And there's that. So what do you think of that, Paul?
I like it. I mean, it's interesting because, say, my game this afternoon, I ended up creating 3 monsters. You know, so that sort of thing is, for me, immense fun, either taking a grab bag and having an existing book, or I think what I'm saying is, let me write for it. You do that.
Yeah. But the thing is also as well, don't think you're going to miss out on in the Catan books or the supplements for specific worlds. They'll also have bestiaries.
Yes, absolutely.
So nothing I'm doing for Catan is going to be in that monsters book. It's going to be in the dark corners of the Empire, because there's been a few fun things I've done for that. So that's I think what we're up to, about 4. Up to 4.
Yeah, so we had Catching the Worm expanded. We had Quantum.
Yeah.
We had Dark Corners of the Empire, and we had, of course, the Monsters book. Yeah, 4.
Okay, and the final one is, drumroll please, an oldie and a goodie. Option 5 is River of Heaven. And River of Heaven is our existing science fiction game. Roughly the plan here would be, I would be on rules, specifically, and the overall editor of the whole thing. And Paul will be sort of helping out and guiding the ship. And we're getting John Osway, who wrote all the setting, will be coming back to have a second go and look at the setting. We enjoyed doing River of Heaven, but it was a big project for us. And I think it wasn't as well received as we'd hoped it would be. It was our first attempt doing a science fiction setting. And I don't know about you, Paul, but I think gaming has changed quite expectations over the last 10 years.
River of Heaven we presented as a big grabbed bag of stuff, right? That was the idea.
Yeah.
You've got the high concepts, you know, in terms of things like how fast the light travel works. Well, kind of it doesn't, except in special circumstances, and things like that make it interesting. But it's a grab bag of stuff. I think really interesting stuff, but maybe some more clear direction would have helped.
Yeah. So that's what, whereas I listened to a lot of the feedback that people gave back on the game. I got very long, I think there was a blog post out there where somebody really went through it. And just family. Sorry, that's my daughter ringing me up. Yeah. And it became very clear that, and I think you also had this with OpenQuest, that people now want stuff that they could just pick up and play. They want the games. So Deep Percentile games had a past of being, here's mechanics. Here's a few more mechanics from the last edition that may not work. And here's a big rambling background thrown in with it all. Where I think really people now just, especially in light of modern D&Ds, they're coming from the game world of board games, and they just haven't got the time to sort of decipher this setting, and we hit that one hard.
You need the entrance thing. You need the whole idea right at the start. What do the player characters do?
Yeah, and who they are, and so I think that you'll not only get the more up-to-date rules set, And I think guns and space travel really, which are a big part of River of Heaven, need looking at in light of that. But you'll also get the, what am I doing in this game? And we're going to use, I think one of the things we worked out, I did, if you got To the Stars, which is the River of Heaven companion, I do a bit of an essay about this. And there's a couple of rules articles where it's basically clarifying where we think the game is. And for instance, I found out when I looked at it, analysed it, we had two settings. You lucky folks mashed together. We had the sort of slightly broken solar system setting, things that not very well.
Yeah, and then the Alpha Centauri noble houses, wasn't it?
Where everything is lovely, but until you start looking a bit closer, the dark side, and that's where all the interesting adventures kind of go on. So John, I think John has said that he wants to sort of focus on that, and I'm saying, yeah, I'll take the Earth side of it away, and that can be its own setting in a book, if we choose to go that way. So that's option 5, and that one's on being considered, even though it's a big game, because we've already got the big game, and it'd be easy to just do a revised edition. And I'm not saying it's just going to be tweaked, because I think there's severe sort of setting stuff to be done, and there'll be word count there. But yeah, it is a goer if the folk on the vote say yes. So just to sum up, we have, in order, I'll try to remember, we have the Shambles, which is the big road city. We have OpenQuest Quantum, which is everything, and anytime, anywhere. So multi-genre rules. We have the OpenQuest Creatures book, which is the Creatures book, a large, big book of creatures. Dark Colors of the Empire, which is my season 1 of my home campaign. And finally, Rivers of Heaven, 2nd edition, which is an update of science fiction game. So, and yeah, Mitch has cast that up onto the chat. So if you're watching this in the future on YouTube and you have a vote for these things, that's what's going on there. Okie dokie then. Right, what I'm going to do now, I am saying and we haven't got a huge amount of folks, I'm going to ask you to unmute, so you can ask questions, and then this is the so please bear with me. I'm pressing buttons, so you'll have to unmute yourself. I can't do that.
Yeah,
yes,
permission to unmute.
Yeah.
Grant.
If you want to stay silent, you can stay silent.
You don't have to say anything.
Yeah.
There's no pressure.
So yeah, it's okay. It's not school. So sometimes it feels like it. So have we got any questions about anything I've shown, buffeted on about anything, clarification, or is it all just brilliant and that's it?
Yeah, it seems pretty clear to me. It's so you're going to open this up sort of online for people to vote for.
Yeah. This is recording at the moment. When we finish, I won't even bother with recording. I'll stick it on YouTube, so the wider OpenQuest community can see and enjoy a bit of promotion there. But also, I'm going to embed it in a WordPress webpage on OpenQuestRPG.com. And if you're eligible to vote, the people being eligible are the OpenQuest patrons and the masters levels on the OpenQuest Kickstarter. You'll get an invite and a password to a web page where there will be the poll. And I think probably I'll give it about 2 weeks, because I tend to find, after 2 weeks, people sort of just tail away. And just so probably about, what's it now, June, probably by the end of this month, I will know what we're working on, and we can quietly get on with it. So,
do we get votes?
I think you do. Yes.
Oh, I probably do. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So if you, as I say, oh, there's one last thing. So is everybody happy with that? No sort of questions there. So one last question. I did say there was a big sort of reveal of something that is next, sort of not is up next. It's sort of OpenQuest.
We do have a question in the chat from Jim.
Oh, from Jim.
Oh,
It's about Road to Hell and Jacobian adventurers.
Right. Okay. Right. Yes, the Road to Hell. I have kind of said, oh, this is going to be an OpenQuest thing, and I nearly did put this up for OpenQuest Next. But there's two ways that I could do the Road to Hell. The Road to Hell, folks, if you've not come across this form before, I used to really like Lamentations, the Flame Princess. I liked the whole horror D&D thing going on. And inspired, I went to the Road to Hell. It was originally an OpenQuest adventure, but I expanded it to be set in the first. It's the first 5 years of King James I's adventure, where everything. There's a whole class of Elizabethan adventurers who had a rich a load of patrons, and all that all comes crashing down with King James I. So your player characters are out of work, your patrons are dead, and the only work you can get is with cranky old Dr. John Dee, the Elizabeth's ex court astrologer, and you're on a horrible rainy road to Manchester and this is the adventure. Road to Hell is that adventure of you travelling up north from the gates of Chester up to Manchester. And I published this for Lamentations of the Flame Princess, except halfway through it, the whole Zach Smith stuff blew up in our face. And I did two versions. I did a Lamentations versions for the backers who wanted it, and a Swords of Wizardry version for those who didn't want to touch Lamentations with the barge ball anymore. And that was an interesting exercise, roughly 50-50, if you're being curious about that one, and for different reasons as well. And I just thought that Road to Hell would go nicely back as an OpenQuest adventure. The problem with it is, since then, I've run about 3 more sequels. So it's Road to Hell plus What Happened Next. And it's got me thinking about doing a whole setting, the whole Jacobi, that period that is the whole Gentleman's Guide to Adventuring in the Jacobean period, the Player's Guide. And there's a lot more work involved in it, just doing a simple scenario conversion. So that's why I have, this is what I was saying, alluding to at the beginning, there's lots of stuff we could do, but a lot of it's just ideas, lots of really funky ideas, but where the things I've put for OpenQuest Next are things that I've got large chunks of it really already written, and it would be writing, filling in the gaps, and a big huge editorial pass to get them out of the road. So yes, so that, I hope that makes you happy, Jim. It will eventually happen, but just not today. And also another thing about I'm thinking that's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, it's probably best.
Yeah, for the rest.
Usually the case is sort of what happens is you generally calls me, says, Paul, I've had this amazing idea. Can we have a chat about it?
Just to make sure that I'm not
being over-imaginative. I'm sort of the enabler.
what do you call it? Yeah, what do you call it? The man that says yes.
Yeah.
So one thing this is perhaps onto my last thing to the evening. I think then I'll wrap it up a bit. One little project we have got, and it is a little project. I know people are waiting for books from the OpenQuest sort of Kickstarter, and they are trundling on. An update is coming on in a couple of weeks' time. I think we'll be in a position to update seriously about various things. But one thing I am getting after the last 3 years of being stuck at home the pandemic and various other things keeping me up. We are going on a family holiday in August, and this got me thinking that I used to have a nice 6x9 version of OpenQuest called OpenQuest Basics that I just put in my man bag. I try not to take too much RPG stuff, but I took it along just in case I felt a bit inspired to write stuff, and some of the adventures I've written have come across that way. Now, I don't have that for OpenQuest free, and I don't want to do Basics again because Basics was a free product, and we've got the quick start for that. So I just thought, well, let's just do it. Let's see how long it'll take me to take all I've got, because I've got the OpenQuest text. Let's see if you can come up with a concise pocket version for yourself for when you go on holiday. And I spent literally, I'm not bragging here, I'm not, an evening working on this, and I ended up, here we go, let's share the screen, show you, oops, with this. So this is Simple Quest. Again, if you're known D1 games for over the last 10 years, Simple Quest was the name that I gave OpenQuest before it was OpenQuest. It was initially called Simple Quest because it was the whole point of what I was writing. We changed it to OpenQuest when a colleague of mine, Tom Zunder, was saying, "You're giving it the whole thing away under the Open Gaming License. OpenQuest would be a more appropriate name." And I said, "Oh yes." But I've always kind of thought, I like the name Simple Quest. It has history with me. So what Simple Quest would be, and the cover, by the way, is John Hodgson's splendid Dragon Emperor cover that was graced the first version of OpenQuest. There were two versions of OpenQuest. This was so it sat there unused, and I thought it's a cover that's really amazing, and it was originally drawn for novel-sized books. So it's coming full circle. So Simple Quest is 150 pages of OpenQuest condensed. A lot of there's no character generation example. The rules are sort of like the same subset of rules that I had in the quick start, so they're squeezed. I've got all 40 monsters in there, but there's what I'm calling the static presentation, where there's no information on how to roll characteristics, because you don't really need it. And I'm squeezed it down, and I've got full color art from stuff that I bought from Jess Shields over the years. As Jess Shields, by the way, has a patron, and I've been a patron for a good 5 years on the top tier, and I get a good 10 pieces every month. So it's pretty much done. So my plan for it now is for my own personal use, is because I'm going on holiday at the end of August, is to get it printed off with either Lulu or drive food to take on holiday. And when we need to I want to move away from Kickstarter because of their rather unsavory practices with blockchain, or plans, and a general dissatisfaction with what they're offering me on the web end of things. And we're going to use I've plans to use gamefound.com. Go to that, have a look around. Evil Hat did their last Kickstarter on there. Projects are funding. It's a much nicer environment, but it is mainly board games at the moment. They're very new, offering it to everybody. But RPG projects are cropping up there, and they are fully funding. That was one of my fears, that when I first looked at it, I thought, this is lovely, but I don't want to be the only kid on the block using them and not funding my projects. But also as a little test project, because we've got Paul's Beyond Red Portals coming up, and that has to fund big. That is our next big thing, with lots of artists and art and paying Paul and for his work. So I want to drop Simple Quest, which is done, just on there, and see how it funds and works. There's some exciting ideas I have for stretch goals, which again I've already done. So if you're worried, well, you've got all these other stuff to do. No, this is done. It's just a case of getting it printed and the rest of it. So, but we'll see. I've got some stuff to push out first. I don't want to take this out to crowdfunding until, well, Reboot, which is overdue now in the overdue sort of area. I'm very sorry about that one. I've had 2 months of complete family chaos that you wouldn't believe, and I wouldn't believe I was there. But that I thought I'd mention it here tonight because it is an OpenQuest race. The game, Simple Quest, it'll be a cut down version, but it'll be 100% compatible. In fact, I think this is one, if you're quite happy with what I put out in the companion and the main rule book, you don't gain anything new content wise by getting Simple Quest.
No, you're just getting that format. It's just
a thing you can put in your work bag, or in my case, in my holiday luggage, without having to take the big books along with me. But it might be for somebody, that might be their entry into OpenQuest, or that might be exactly what they want. They want a cut down D% system and the rest of it. So, right. So with that, I think, unless there's any more questions, anybody, questions? No. Okay then. I'm going to stop recording. So
yes, thanks everyone for coming.
Yeah, thanks for yeah, definitely. Yeah, sorry for not saying it's been like Paul's my better half. He keeps me on the straight and narrow. Okay, I'm going to stop recording now, but feel free to hang about if you want to just chat afterwards for the next 15 minutes.